Have you given up on your dreams? No, of course not, Doug. I have not. Someday I'm gonna have the time. That someday is the problem for today. See that right there? That's me. That's me in the hospital after my right lung had collapsed, being prepped to be able to have a major surgery to have it repaired. This was the beginning of one of the best and worst times in me and Emmy's lives. Why the best? Because we realized life was short. This was the moment that spun us down a road to live out a dream. I remember mostly a feeling of desperation. I had this awful shortness of breath that was just getting worse. I had this cramp on the right side of my chest that wouldn't go away, and I have no other way to explain it but this sense of impending doom that just kind of creeps in on you. Now, when I got to the emergency department, the physician began to prep me for something called a chest tube, and as she plunged the tube in between my ribs, I heard this loud hiss, and with one big cough and a tight grip of the sheets, I could breathe again. I don't remember much after that, but I'm sure the next 24 hours went perfectly fine. Part of my lung was removed 1 week later. As I began my road to recovery, I had one lingering question in the back of my mind. If I didn't make it through this ordeal, what were my major regrets? Okay, so I wanted to talk to you a little bit about while I was still in the hospital, you were taking care of me, and I brought up moving to Florida for the very first time. Did you think I was totally out of my mind?
I mean, yes.
While still in the hospital, Emmy and I decided that our next big adventure was going to be moving down to Florida and having Walt Disney World as our backyard. Emmy had always dreamed of being a cast member and making magic for a living, and I loved the idea of being able to visit the parks regularly.
Great Big Beautiful tomorrow, and that's about the time we're gonna get off this ride.
Watch the fireworks at the end of a bad day, and the unreasonable amount of good food that would be at our disposal. Over the last 4 years, we've been able to enjoy Disney to our heart's content. We have made countless memories and been able to enjoy some really great quality time with our friends and family who come to visit. But as the coronavirus spreads across the country, Emmy and I have found ourselves faced with a really similar question to the one that pulled us here just 4 years ago. If this was it, if we would never get another normal day on this planet, what would we look back on our lives on and feel like we missed out on? One way I've found it really easy to start taking inventory of my thoughts is by writing them down on something physical. I mean, notebook, piece of paper, grab a pencil or a pen, and start jotting things down. For some reason, this makes them more real. Now, I've also found that I'm not going to do this unless it's really convenient. So what I've done is I've placed my notebook somewhere close by so that when I have a thought, when I have an idea of something that I wish I had done, I can stand up, go write it down, and then get back to what I was doing within just a matter of seconds. But for real, I have to keep this thing somewhere super convenient, but not on my desk. If I put it on my desk, I end up getting frustrated that something's in my way. I throw it on the floor with the rest of my junk, and then my system's ruined and I'm not going to use it anymore. Something to keep in mind. Know yourself. Now, if things come up more than once for me, I'm adding a little check mark next to that thought in my notebook. As the check marks add up, it gives me a clearer picture of what is really going on inside my head and what I should be paying attention to. As things eventually return to normal, it's good to have a sense of what big picture goals are important to you. The hard part is making them come to fruition once normal life starts again. It's easy to have the goals of someday or when I have the time get pushed back into something that never really happens. That's why it's important to start planning now. Now, we've picked one of our goals. It may not be happening in a week, may not be a month or even a year, but the important part to us is it happens. And that's why we're laying down a concrete path to be able to get us to our goal now so that we will achieve it in the future. What's our goal, you ask? Well, we're gonna... It's going to be great.